This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
Real G's move in silence like lasagna. As Lil Wayne told us and Baker Mayfield described Myles Garrett today, I guess that's a good way to describe Nick Chubb because he ain't going to say much, but he is going to put the performance out there. So great to have Nick Chubb back. Wyatt Teller, and of course, Kareem Hunt doing a lot of big things out there to spell Chubb as he got his legs back in that game. And the Browns did what we thought they would do against the Raiders 2 weeks ago. They get the win in mighty wins here in Northeast Ohio today, 10-7 over the Houston Texans. What's going on, everybody? This is the Voice of the Land live with Big Play here on our Twitter at VTL_pod, as well as the Big Play Facebook and YouTube pages and Sportscaster Live. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire, who also may be a G who moves in silence like lasagna behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tella. We are partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV. And, of course, you can always find the podcast on replay on all major podcast platforms like Google, Spotify, and Apple. Our live episodes, Voice of Land, is sponsored this season by DP Construction, LLC. Reach out to them at 330-217-4999 for all your concrete construction needs, or find them on Facebook at DP Construction, LLC. Look at all the beautiful pictures of all the concrete work they have done. And, of course, you can always get a quote there by messaging Tyler LaFrada through Facebook, and it'll send Uncle Steve out and get all of that great work done. Great people, fellow Browns fans, and just genuine, nice people that are willing to come out, help you with whatever you need, and a local company doing a lot of great things for the local community. They will stretch far and wide, won't they, Paulus?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They go to town. Wherever you need to be at Northeast Ohio, Uncle Steve will travel. Uncle Steve will get there, and he will give you a great estimate. Once again, check out all of their stuff on Facebook. The pictures, they speak for themselves. So absolutely go check it out. Great prices, great people, great service.
And again,
should be their tagline, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Cut that up for Tyler and send that.
I will. I'm going to have to now.
Honestly, he should be like hearing it himself right now. He should be watching live, right? Like he should be getting a text right now saying like, I'm going to use that. Like,
don't you worry. Yeah, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will.
In the midst of keeping track of the comments on Twitter there, see if Tyler messages you there in a minute. But of course, you can reach out to them again by phone at 330-217-4999, or find them, as we said, on Facebook at DP Construction, LLC. You can always find, as you see, as the names pop up on the screen, you can always reach out to Paulus on Twitter at CLE_Paulus. Myself at Kevin7, because I always come through in the clutch when it matters most. And LPV Productions on all major social media platforms. Hey, and you can always hit the like button on Facebook for us, Voice of the Land, or VTL_pod on Instagram. Follow us there. And we always have a bunch of different content going on. We try to get some content on our YouTube page as well, at Voice of the Land Podcast. Subscribe there. Subscribe to Big Play Live. And we have started from one small studio at Ohio Media School and have stretched to many different platforms. And now you get to see our face live every single week, usually at 7. But, of course, with the delay in the game today, and some technical problems today, as you may have noticed, I guess we should address the elephant in the room right now. I got a nice background today, but that's because I am in pre-quarantine, I guess you would call it. I don't know how to describe this because, it's all this contact tracing for COVID, and this is, right. COVID-19 is still, it's spiking. It's a real thing. We want to send all of our best to the first responders, frontline workers, everyone fighting this virus. It's not going away anytime soon. Cold weather is here. They said it would get worse when cold weather got here, and it is. But kind of through contact tracing, maybe a contact of a contact type, know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy.
Right.
But again, don't want to make light of the situation, just to be extra cautious while we are 6 feet away from each other in the studio. Not wearing the mask, of course, for the betterment of the microphones and the sound for all of you out there. And for the safety of you guys and all your families, just following as many protocols, whether it's necessary or not. Just we find out tomorrow if a 14-day quarantine is coming, or if we can kind of break loose of a 24-hour wait period for test results to come back. So you're going to get me here live in the Chez Arnold, as they would say in France. And we kind of came up with a cool background here to celebrate Victory Sunday night and Victory Monday. And those guys are back in the studio. So hopefully everybody tuning in is enjoying, and we will get your comments in as much as we can. If you comment on Facebook or Twitter, we'll be keeping track of that all night. But the big story of the day, Browns back after their bye week. They get back on the winning track. They go to 6-3 on the year, beating the Houston Texans down at First Energy Stadium in what many of the players and coaches were saying after the game was worse than the Raiders game in heavy winds. Of course, they got delayed by that storm. They come away with a hard-fought 10-7 victory. Paulus, as you were watching that game, just kind of walk me through your overall thoughts, your feelings after that game. While Houston's not a great team, you got to win any way that you can, and you dominated the line of scrimmage unlike that Raiders game. You out-toughed Houston unlike being out-toughed against the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it perfectly. We were talking about this last week, and the Raiders out-toughed you 2 weeks ago. And then today, and once again, this is a 2-7 football team. It's not like we're dealing with the Steelers or the Ravens or, even the Titans who we have, coming down the list here for us. However, their offense is very good. I mean, Deshaun Watson is not a joke. I mean, their receiving core is legit in this league. And I know that they have a couple of no-name people, and it's not like they have Nuka, there anymore, which just made one of the greatest Hail Mary catches of all time. I know I had to get that in, because he's on my fantasy team. But it was fantastic. That all being said, he's no longer there, but Deshaun Watson's still balling out, and he's been doing a great job this year so far. I mean, we held him to 20 of 30 for 163 yards and 1 touchdown, actually breaking his multiple touchdown streak that he came into the game. I believe it was 6 straight games that he had at least 2 touchdowns or more, plus also having at least 275 yards passing. So, I mean, we broke a couple of streaks there for us. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised because I know our defense typically isn't that great out there unless we're getting turnovers. And that's something that didn't happen today. We didn't get the turnovers like we assumed we might get in this windy atmosphere that was going on. But I'm proud of how our defense stood up. We had a goal line stand. A bend but don't break, sort of mantra is, the Cleveland spirit, it seems like, for this defense. But I'm telling you, on that offense, God bless Kevin Stefanski. I guarantee he had to have been listening to Opening Drive, because I was talking about saying Baker Mayfield better not throw it 25 times. Like, I will beat someone if Baker Mayfield threw it 25 times. I would have beat someone down. I'm telling you right now. Folks of America, I'm telling you right now, I would have had to beat somebody had he thrown 25 times in this weather. He threw 20 times, which is understandable. And they were all rollouts. They were play actions. I mean, we had the running game really didn't get going until that second half, but that's whenever the defense got tired for Houston. And then you just started seeing those gouging runs. For the first time in what feels like forever, we had 2 running backs that went over 100 yards. And Nick Chubb should have had 2 touchdowns had he not done the smartest thing I've seen a running back do for us ever. I mean, running out of bounds, conserving the clock, getting the first down, assuring the first down, and then just having us kneel it. I know it killed a lot of bettors and killed the fantasy people, but it was the smartest decision. And I'm so happy that we have Nick Chubb on this team, and we have him. Obviously, he's 100% again. And thank God for that, because we are going to start hitting a stretch of defenses that are awful. And if we can just run straight through them with this two-headed monster, be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that with the Nick Chubb going out of bounds thing, because Peter and I were actually talking about that before you got in studio there, Paulus, and I saw a bunch of people that were saying, "Oh, but my fantasy team, my points, like I could have,
Right.
I'm gonna lose just because of that."
Of course,
there were so many games going on. There were so many games in that 1 o'clock window today, and it's one of those where a lot of people probably, I would say 60 to 75% of matchups across fantasy leagues in America right now are probably pretty much over, maybe one guy to go.
Right.
If you have a couple guys to go to tonight and tomorrow on Monday, you're kind of lucky, and especially if you're in a close one. But guess what? If you're a Browns fan, you should not be complaining. And
right.
again,
yeah.
I get it. Trust me, I don't look at my fantasy scores until Sunday night, kind of 80% of the way through the Sunday night game, and if there's anything on Monday night that may push me over the edge, or I might be leading, and so the guy I'm going against, guy or girl I'm going against, they have a chance to beat me. I keep track of that particular storyline. But
right.
even if I go on these fantasy leagues and I see that Nick Chubb scoring that touchdown would have been the difference in one of my matchups, and yes, I understand money's on the line.
Sure.
I don't really care.
For some
because
people,
guess what? I understand. Yeah, and there's people that have a lot of money, so I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money or how to feel about where their money went. It's very difficult to listen to someone complain about maybe their fantasy team not doing so well. But guess what? We've had a lot of crap football since 1999, and we are 6-3 this year. And there's still a lot left for this team to give and progress towards, which we're going to talk about as we move forward tonight. And we've talked about it in the past, where there is somewhat of an empty feeling. Feels like there could be more to that record we have right now. But again, you're still with a winning record right now, with a chance at the playoffs, whether they have the 8th seed or not. You have 7 spots, and you have a chance to solidify yourself into that playoff chase in the second half of the season. And you started the second half the right way, getting a win with so much room to improve after this one. And yes, the weather played a role in this game today. But you have to find a way to win. When things aren't working and there's other factors that you can't control, you have to control what you got to control. Cliche as it may be, and I know some people hate cliches, you have to do that and find a way to win the game. As Al Davis used to say, just win, baby.
Right.
Just win. And it is very difficult to win this league, but it's also very difficult to go 0-16, and we've seen both ends of the spectrum. We'd rather be on this end of the spectrum than where we were just 3 years ago.
Yep, 100%. I mean, just think about how far we've come. I mean, ever since getting Miles, I mean, we went 0-16 the year that we got Miles, because that was coming off of 1-15. But after 1-31, getting Baker, getting Denzel, getting Nick Chubb, trading for Wyatt Teller, all of these moves. I mean, there were a billion moves that have happened over the last 2 years there for us. The biggest move out of everything that we've done so far is getting Kevin Stefanski. Getting a guy that knows Cleveland football. And I'm talking Cleveland old school football. Run the rock. I'm looking at our the stats right now. Baker went 12 of 20, 132 yards. I mean, 50-mile-per-hour wins. Once again, don't go throwing, but he had a couple of really good throws in clutch situations. He missed a couple too. But once again, nobody's perfect. Okay.
And Deshaun missed a few too.
Oh, Deshaun missed. He missed actually quite a few.
Yeah, and he's a guy that people thought that, of course, we felt like we passed on him. You had a chance at 12 because he was sitting right there. Like, that was part of that quarterback conversation when you hadn't found the guy. Now we have a guy that we are still working on.
Sure.
Jury's still out on whether he is the franchise quarterback or not, but trending in that direction. But that was a conversation in the past, and a guy that can chuck it. And you saw the effect of the win for both guys today. Like, it's not just one that's struggling. And I think there was kind of a focus on that during the broadcast of presenting it as Baker struggling and Deshaun Watson just just missing a guy, or is like,
sure,
oh, like that's just like a one-off. But there were several instances for both guys, so it's got to be an equal conversation, and that's what we try to make sure people realize.
Right, that's what we try and bring here on this podcast show. Yeah. I mean, that's what we try and do. We try and deal with reality. That being said, I mean, I thought both quarterbacks actually played decent. For what happened today. Deshaun missed a couple of throws. Baker missed a couple of throws. But once again, Kevin Stefanski is the biggest trendsetter that we have here for this Cleveland team. Just for the pure fact that we ran the ball 41 times today. I mean, in conditions like this, you absolutely need to run. We ran 41 times for 231 yards. That's a 5.6 average. We had one touchdown. Honestly, should have had two, but I understand why we didn't do that. Once again, Nick Chubb, smartest dude out there. Kevin Stefanski even said, if you can have 53 Nick Chubbs, you do that all day. And Nick Chubb is one of the hardest workers out there, along with him and Jarvis. I know Blessum's our boy. So, we'll always absolutely bless him. But this team is, we're 6-3. Yes, we are still the 8th seed because the Dolphins and Raiders both did win. So That's unfortunate. But next week we have Philly. And Philly, it did not look good today. Philly looked pretty bad today. So they looked bad. Right after them, you got Jacksonville. I mean, those are wins that you absolutely need to have if you are a playoff team. And just to think, and once again, I'm thinking out loud, if you go 8-3, I mean, you are not, you're not solidified a playoff spot. And by no means am I saying that, but you put yourself in the best position possible with the last 5 remaining games on your schedule. You absolutely can do anything you want at that moment in time. You control your destiny. At this very moment, I firmly believe the Browns control their destiny. Technically, do you need a couple of losses? Absolutely. But I don't think that's not going to be a factor. I think the Dolphins are going to stumble somewhere. They have a young quarterback. And once again, the Raiders are the Raiders. They're going to screw up somewhere. Chucky is going to make a bad call somewhere. It's just who they are. They're going to get over, they're going to get temperamental and get a flag or something, and it's going to lose them a game. As long as we don't do something stupid like that, we'll be okay.
Yeah, and you have to control your own destiny right now. Like, it's not time right now to scoreboard watch, because if you do that and you don't focus on the task at hand of putting yourself in a position to maybe have to scoreboard watch in that final game or two, then you're only doing yourself a disservice. Right now, you take it 1 week at a time. You got this win. You enjoy it for 24 hours, and then you get right on to that Philadelphia Eagle film, and you try to go 1-0 this week and try to get to 7-3 by the end of next Sunday. And you continue to put yourself in a position. You win the games you are supposed to win. As playoff teams, you win the games you're supposed to win. It doesn't always have to be the way everybody assumes it's going to be, or the way the Vegas line may say it's supposed to be, but you go win those games and you compete and beat good opponents that you have left on your schedule as well. And then you prepare yourself, you put yourself in a situation where now you are battle tested. You're not just record wise in the playoffs, but you are battle tested for the postseason as well. And that's what the second half of this season has to be. It has to be about beating the teams you're supposed to be and finding a way to get battle tested, so that it's not just a one-off in the playoffs, or if it ends up being a one-off in the playoffs, it's one hell of a one-off in the playoffs. Right. And it's something that sets you up for success this year and a way to sustain going into next year. While momentum cannot be carried from one year to the next, and they're all different, having actual concrete stuff to build on. We have 6 wins right now. We had 6 wins all of last season right. under Freddie Kitchens, who the year before that, we thought they were on such a hot streak with him as the offensive coordinator. having him as the head coach was just going to automatically put this team right, starting at the beginning of the season, on that hot streak. Like they were going to start right there. No, because there's several months in between that. Reality of the situation is, reality check is, you can only rely on the habits you built one year to the next, the culture you built one year to the next, not exactly on the results or any momentum from last game of one year to first game of the next year. So it's about the habits and the culture that this team builds, and becoming battle tested the rest of the way is what's going to determine how successful and sustained success this organization can finally build in this football town. Now, Peter, watching that game today, what were your thoughts? And the running game kind of getting itself going again wasn't pretty, but they get the win.
It wasn't pretty, but given the weather conditions, I think it was good to see them continue to run the ball.
Yep.
It was a little frustrating, I think, a couple times when I saw when Chubb came in, because he didn't seem to be hitting the holes. The holes didn't really seem to be there for him.
He kind of looked like he was dancing a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little tiny bit.
But
find his legs a little ginger on that knee.
Maybe
yeah.
knocking the rust off.
But the thing is, with him and Hunt, you can keep popping those guys back and forth, and the fact that they kept with the run, I think they said Hunt was averaging almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Which is
half.
Yes, which is it sure beats the old days of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's like you put it in there, it's like 3 downs and it's 3 yards and it's 4th and 1 and you punt.
Right.
So, it was great that breakout that he had there at the that last play.
Nick Chubb,
yeah. Like Kevin and I said before you got here, Nick, we were talking about that, and as soon as he stopped, like I totally get why he did it, and I said to Jacob, I said, man, there's a lot of people yelling at their TV right now if Chubb is on their team. So for fantasy,
what's funny is I'm cutting up the highlights for Nick Chubb, and he's like so whole hum. He even said, he was like, had I not scored the first one, I probably would have ran that one in. And so and he chuckled after that, and you're like, oh wow, that's funny. You ask Kareem Hunt, and like, if you know who these guys are, Kareem is much more of a boisterous sort of voice of the locker room sort of guy.
Flamboyant, yeah.
He's very flamboyant. And then you have Nick Chubb, who is literally Batman. He doesn't say a word to anybody. He just goes in, does his job, and kicks ass doing it. But, so you got a little chuckle out of Nick Chubb, but then you ask Kareem Hunt, you go, is that hard not to run that in? He goes, oh yeah, no, that it's definitely very hard. They told me not to do the same thing, but I probably would have ran it in, and it's funny because Kevin Stefanski's answering these questions. He's like, had Nick ran it in, I wouldn't have been upset, but we did tell him not to, so like, and Nick Chubb always listens to, takes orders well. So, I mean, it's fantastic to see this group of this running back group be so like friendly with each other. I mean, they're fighting for carries, they're fighting for yards, but they're fighting for each other more importantly than anything. And that is how a team is formed. That's how a culture is formed. That's how everything comes together. And we are seeing it before our very eyes, the culture starting to shift and change. The fact that we are 6-3, once again, none of us saw that coming.
No.
Like, we all thought maybe this team could win 10 games, maybe 9-7, 10, but not start off 6-3 with the remaining schedule that we have left. No one saw that coming. So I am so happy and thankful that these guys are just, they're loving each other, and they're playing for each other because they're brothers, and they are kicking so much ass. It's awesome.
Yeah, and we thought, like you said, Paulus, we thought like the 10 wins could come from the second half of the year and the opponents they have, and maybe starting off a little rougher. But like going into those games now, going into this run that you have, second or third easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah,
finishing things
third,
out.
I believe. Yeah,
third. But going into that 6-3, you really have an opportunity to make a run at this. And you also have an opportunity in that to make that run, to continue to build this culture and solidify the culture, as I just said, for sustained success. And something that's unique that you guys were just bringing up that goes into that is the different dynamic of characteristics that these guys bring. These guys are getting to be themselves, but they are still taking on the identity of the coach, the mantra, the philosophy of what the coaching staff is trying to preach. But they are finding a way to do that and using the best tools that these athletes, these players bring to the field, and allowing them to just be themselves. Nick Chubb isn't going to say a lot. Kareem Hunt is, but both of them are going to be selfless, and especially Nick Chubb. And I mean, right. I was, kind of tweeting stuff about Nick Chubb after the game. I was getting some text myself from a couple friends who know of Nick Chubb or have had like fellow friends meet or their children meet Nick Chubb, and he has, kind of provided tickets to him and given back because he is for the greater good and not for his own stats. Like, I would love to see him go into the end zone there, because it's like we saw it a couple years ago that Derrick Henry took over on the last day, the rushing lead, and
he ended up running for like 200 yards. He, in order to beat Chubb by like 20 yards.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like that extra yard there for a touchdown, or that one touchdown is going to be like, oh, he's going to lose maybe a touchdown title or a rushing title by 1 yard. He's already been out a few games. What I'm saying is, it's those types of moments that, in the future, he's going to do the same thing. He's not going to change that unless it's absolutely necessary for the team to go score that touchdown to kind of solidify. If it was a one-score game that kind of extends it more into a one-score game, then he probably goes in. But he looks over the scoreboard. He heard his coach say no mas, as the code word was. He goes out of bounds. And yes, the clock stops, but it's under a minute to go. There's no timeouts. And honestly, the reason why there's no timeouts is because that 4th and 4 that the team had earlier in the game, where the team comes out, looks like I don't know if they were going to go for it at all. I thought they were coming out for a hard count. They've been using that hard count a lot recently, and especially in today's game. Then Texans are forced to call their second timeout. They only have one left. They call it as you're running it down their throat. And there's just, all you got to do is snap it twice. Best formation in football is the victory formation at the end of the game. And you go on to win, because you're up 10-7, and that goes down as a win for you, and you put yourself in a better position going forward. Paulus, I got to ask you, though, because we mentioned Baker's stats, and it wasn't really a game to throw the ball around the yard today, especially. But he's 12 of 20, 132 yards. Mm-hmm. Baker love meter, where are we at on November 15th, 2020?
November 15th, 2020. I'm going to go, I will give 1 out of 10. I'm going to give him a solid 7 for this performance, because once again, I thought it was an average performance. He didn't go above and beyond. He didn't do anything like spectacular, stellar. He had a couple of really good throws. I'm not going to discount him on that. But then he had a couple of misses. Like, there was a pass to Kareem that Kareem could have got some major, yardage out of that. And he just
first down.
Yeah, at least the first down. And he threw it behind him. Now, the wind may have taken it. I don't know, but I do know that the wind was swirling there pretty hard right around there. I'm going to give him a 7 because he didn't win us the game, and he definitely didn't lose us the game. At no point in time was I like, okay, if Baker throws it here, I'm terrified. Nothing like that. I knew Stefanski was going to come out running the ball, especially that last drive. I even tweeted it. I was like, Baker's going to need to come up with a play. He ended up not having to, because the running back.
To you on that one.
I did see that. Or just give it to Hunt and Chubb. Yeah, it was like absolutely. And once again, made the right call. But they were stacking 10 in the box a lot of times, and we were just running right towards that. Now, once again, they did have the worst rush defense in the league, so that happens. Like you're gonna gouge them for a lot of yards after a while. But I really thought Baker was going to need to make a play. He didn't, but at the same time, he didn't lose us the game. I'll give him a 7, just to say he was average out there. I do expect us, because depending on how the weather looks, next week, whether I can't remember, are we in Philly or are we, no, we're actually at home. We're at home.
Yeah, that's a home game when they go on the road.
And they have us as 3.5 point favorites. So, I mean, that's the home favorite there for us, is the natural 3 points that they give you. So we're a 0.5 point better than the Eagles is what they're saying. And if that's the case, like, I expect Baker to go out there and do his play actions, do really well. I loved what I saw from Higgins. Now, Higgins didn't have the great, he whiffed on a block earlier in the game, and that really pissed me off. Actually, I was pretty upset about that. But he came right back and made a first down grab. And, I mean, after that, he was fine. So I expect more out of those guys coming down the road. Hopefully we get a nice day. Hopefully we get a day where it's not a tornado out there, And, if that's the case, I think Baker's going to do an okay job.
Yeah, usually when I get on Twitter, whether it's during the game or after, I mean, sometimes I'll just let everybody know, like, if you follow me on Twitter at Kevin7, I know that a lot of people will live tweet games. I don't, for a couple of reasons. One is because I'm on a stream, so I'm like behind. And I realized today the stream was like a minute behind because I was getting the notification of quarters ending, and I'm looking at the clock and there's still like 45, 50 seconds left in the quarter.
It's still a ball game.
Yeah. So like when Chubb went into the end zone, I did tweet about that, but like I was going on and I was seeing people's like timestamp like 2 or 3 minutes before mine. Like mine says now, and then everybody else says 2 or 3 minutes in the past. But the other reason is more so because while there are moments in football games and you can have a game that 1 or 2 plays defines the difference in that football game, like I try not to live tweet because I haven't seen the whole picture yet, and I need to see the whole picture. Like, that's why I love coming on here now on Sunday nights, because we don't just come on like right after the game. We come on a few hours later so we can digest a little bit. We can look at it. So if there's something that still angers us, like you just said, Paulus, with Higgins block, like that still stands out in your mind, we bring that and we are passionate about that. But also we can also bring reality to it. Like, what really happened? Why did that play have this kind of impact versus another play and its impact in the final result of the game? At the end of the day, you got to win. But how you get there and what caused you to get there, or what maybe prevented you from having not so great of a day out there, those are the things we're going to talk about. We're going to break down here. It's tough to do that in a game because it's like, if I don't like a play, but then 2 plays later, it's really great. Sometimes that roller coaster of emotion, especially when you're in quarantine, it's hard to deal with. So, I tried the live tweeting today. We'll see if I go forward with that. I did see some tweets though, Paul. So I wanted to ask you as we kind of wind down the conversation here, because it's a 10-7 game that not a lot happened. There's a lot of running. It's a lot of physicality out there.
A lot happened. A lot happened. It just wasn't
like little on the scoreboard.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, I was seeing tweets after the game, and I know that you're kind of in you're at ESPN Cleveland Studios for their post-game show and stuff, because that's a local one. And I'm seeing people tweet at them. I didn't listen today, but I see people tweeting at them, Hammer and Emmett, like, why are people so angry? Like, did the Browns win today or not? Like, people were wondering. It sounded like maybe some callers weren't so happy today. Like, what was the vibe in the city that you were getting from fans?
A lot of people think that the Browns, ever since they went and started scoring 30 points a game, that they should have just run rumshot over everyone. This game should have been out of place, out of sight, out of mind. They shouldn't have, won this game by only 3 points. A lot of people are like that, and I don't get that, because a win is a win is a win is a win. And that's all that matters. And as long as nobody got injured, and it seems like we came out of this game pretty healthy, getting everyone back, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to have some semblance of normalcy back here. And once again, the winds are whipping, everything like that. I know, being on the radio with Mike Rizzo, the Wild Colt this morning, he was going crazy. He was, the weather shouldn't be a factor. The weather shouldn't be this. The weather shouldn't be that. I told him, I was like, dude, it's gonna be a factor. It just is. I mean, good luck trying to throw against this 50-mile-per-hour wind or try kicking into it, which, by the way, I know I give a lot of crap to kickers, and my motto, the Paulus mantra is never trust a kicker. Cody Parkey is slowly creeping up for me as someone that I might be able to trust. And like, he's done.
I'm knocking on wood right now.
I know.
The fact that you don't trust kickers and you're using the word trust.
I know. And I know it's dumb because I know he's famous for the double doink. I get it. But like everything that he's done since he's been here has been solid. I mean, has he missed one or two? Yeah, that happens. You know, once again, nobody's perfect. But I am liking what I'm seeing from Cody Parkey. I loved everything about what I saw from this running attack. Wyatt Teller was a beast again. You know, thank God we got him back. I mean, as long as our offensive line is stable, I think that you can put, you out there, Kevin. I think you might be able to run for 100 out there. Maybe not so much me. There you go, guns out.
Cleveland strong.
There you go. Yeah.
Got that GB artwork shirt working tonight.
There you go. Now, I don't personally think I could run for 100. I'm a little bigger, maybe 25 yards, maybe 25.
Okay.
But that being said, like I loved everything about what I'm seeing from this offense. I know a lot of people have issues that we're not scoring 30 points a game again. I get that, but we are starting to hit these winter months where you're going to see scoring around the NFL start dipping down a little bit, and we just have to have that mindset that it doesn't freaking matter, Cleveland. As long as you win, that's all that matters. And we got to start rooting for the Raiders and Dolphins to start falling off, because we have a lot of things that like. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to hope for a little bit, just a little bit that they fall off to the wayside. Because I think we're going to start winning a lot of these games here coming up. I mean, we got a lot of winnable games. That Tennessee game, maybe strike me down. I don't know. Doesn't seem so bad anymore. That Tennessee team doesn't seem so badass like they were last year, and then for most of this year heading up to it. Once they lost to Cincinnati, I was like, come on. Like, let's be serious. That defense is nowhere near as good as what they once were. So I have a good feeling about that game as well. If you win that game and then you win the other games that you're supposed to win, not including the possible Baltimore on Monday night game, which once again, I think is a winnable game. They're losing a lot of people on that offensive line. I think that's a winnable game. And then the Steelers game, who maybe they're, going to be playing the B team out there because they might not need anybody else out there, but you have a lot of winnable games, and you just have to stay healthy and continue to pound the rock.
You have to continue to pound the rock. I saw a lot of people also talking about, I kind of like, just to finish this all out, I want everybody's kind of quick take on this. People now saying what we should have a dome or a retractable roof on the stadium, but we don't. I think that a retractable roof would be something that could open up more opportunities, and that's more going into the off season. But not having the retractable roof and wind that swirls in that stadium is an advantage and is AFC North type football. You want to suffocate physicality wise your opponent, which for the most part today they did. While it doesn't show up on the scoreboard, they could have won 17-7 or at least 16-7.
Right.
Knock on wood, Cody Parkey makes that final kick, because there's nobody in Chubb's way. He's scoring, if not for timing or time management purposes, on that final play. But you need to be the team that out-toughs, out-physicals those opponents that come in. The weather conditions, you should love it. I saw the pictures before the game with Mac Wilson and Taki and the linebackers jumping up, and Baker looking up to the sky and just taking the rain and the wind in with him. Like, loving the conditions and knowing we're about to just push you all around and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And as each quarter goes on, your legs are going to get tired and we are going to dominate you. The Raiders did that to them 2 weeks ago, and that's why we were so upset to be 5-3 at the bye week and not 6-2. Not because we didn't, not because they were over 500. We think that there's any problem with that. It's because of the way that you lost. You completely flipped that around today, and you out physical and suffocate the other team with your physicality. And that's what got you the win. And that's what makes you feel good about being 6-3 and coming out of this game, knowing that there's room for improvement on offense. And you want to see that improve as the season goes on, but you can win a game in weather conditions and take advantage of the weather conditions you're going to see here in Northeast Ohio. Do either of you guys think that this stadium needs a dome or a retractable roof? Is that a conversation?
Peter, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I was, for Smash Mouth Browns football, I'm fine without a roof.
I thought you were just going to say Smash Mouth.
Well, no, if I wanted to see Smash Mouth in a concert, I'd prefer a roof.
Right.
I mean, so as a football fan, the weather conditions, it's part of the game. As a taxpayer,
right.
I wish it had a retractable roof so they could use it for more things. But that's all I'm saying.
And you know what? That's a good point, because I honestly do believe if we did have a roof here, retractable or just a straight up dome, I think we probably would have a Super Bowl. I mean, the city's layout. I mean, if it can hold the Republican National Committee and the convention and all of that stuff, you can hold a Super Bowl here. Hell, we're going to have the draft here, hopefully, fingers crossed, within the next 6 months or whatever it is. So I think you can hold a Super Bowl here. They'll never do it. The only time that they ever did it in a cold weather situation was in New York. I think it was for Super Bowl 50. And that was, I believe that was the Seahawks versus the Denver Broncos. I actually ended up winning a slap bet on that. So that was a lot of fun, actually. I got to slap someone. That's best way.
I know.
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother. Don't worry, I know.
No, okay. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyways,
I would have slapped you if I was in studio.
Good point. There we go. Yeah.
To give people the point of it, but I can't really do that. I can't.
Right. Oh. Right.
Put the sound effects in on edit.
Right. Yeah. We'll have to do that. But yeah, no, for the Super Bowl purpose, the sole purpose to get a Super Bowl here, I would be for it. But I love these weather conditions. Honestly, conditions like today, maybe not so much wind, but the cold weather, the snowy games, the rain, the hail, everything like that. That's what it's all about being a Browns fan. Those are the funnest tailgates. I know no one can really tailgate right now anyways, but those are the best tailgating situations out there. It is so cold. You are layered up to the max, but it is so much fun out there. And so I would hate to see us lose that sort of toughness about our team getting a dome on top of there. But like I said, if you can get me a Super Bowl here, if you guarantee me a Super Bowl here, I'd probably be for it.
Give me a Super Bowl and WrestleMania.
Well,
and I'm in on it.
You'd get that. You get a WrestleMania. You'd probably get like a national, like a Final Four. I mean, everything would be at your disposal here in Cleveland. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at how many times NCAA comes here to the Q, and then also wrestling. While not many people maybe that watch us are WWE fans or pro wrestling fans, I am, and I know how big that is here and how big of crowds they get at pay-per-views and just house shows when they're able to travel around the country like they're not able to do right now. I know how big that is in this area and how big WrestleMania is worldwide and how many people from the world, not just around the country, but around the world come in for those things to say that they got to be a part of WrestleMania. I mean, it's those things that you miss, but yeah, I don't want to lose the advantage of the toughness being Cleveland strong. And speaking of t-shirts, by the way, as we kind of, close this out, I don't know if you guys heard Dick Stockton, and I know Dick Stockton and Matt Millen are great at what they do. They're today they struggle a little bit. There were some names they botched a little bit. One that I think I want to propose to any t-shirt company out there, like Dave. We want to thank Dave from Big Play as well for getting us on here. bringing us into the Big Play family. He just messaged us and let us know that they're doing a plug for one of the local local t-shirt companies. Wow, words can be hard, but oh so fun. But where I'm from, they're doing a plug this week, and he's kind of talking about that and sending us a message about them.
Which they have fantastic shirts. I've looked at them. They are awesome.
We got some great t-shirt companies here.
Absolutely.
But I'm just giving you guys an idea. You guys can take this if you want. Dick Stockton called Stefanski. And the first thing I thought about was Stefanski in the Fonz get-up doing the A, and you'd like read it out as Stefan, like
you better trademark that right now. Like call it.
It's my
trademark.
I'm not good at clip art. I'm not good at editing. I can't do the picture myself. So somebody that makes that T-shirt, please give me the credit. I just gave you the idea right there. Hey, I'm telling you, clip this week. That's gotta be one of them.
Absolutely.
Right here, so that everybody knows I was the first one on it. Unless someone already said it, then I'm sorry. I took your idea.
Well,
I swear I didn't.
We can steal their ideas. They can't steal ours. Like that's how this works.
Yeah. There's no two-way street here.
That's right. That's right.
It's a one-way street. And we do have some comments on Facebook too. I just wanted to kind of get to my sister in Seattle saying that we don't want to jinx it, but 2020 could have a happy ending. We were talking about the playoffs there. All kinds of words with the W going around Cleveland today, but most importantly, the word win with the W in there is what we got today, and that is true and great for business. Great for business to get the stadium the way it is, according to Janet Fenstermaker out there watching as well. But Browns win 10-7, and you can break it down so many different ways. But it's a team that took a loss, and you saw them learn a lesson from that Raiders loss and really turn that around and are ready to really hit the ground running, figuratively, literally, metaphorically, in this second half. And hopefully we do have a playoff run in us. Also coming up this week, we won't get a chance to kind of preview it at any other point. So we do want to touch on the NBA draft tonight, because the Cavs have the 5th pick on Wednesday night. We finally have an NBA draft, as that's been pushed back so many times. NBA season getting started on December 22nd. A lot of rumors floating out there nationally and on, of course, for the Cavs as well. Unfortunately, Kevin Porter Jr., who is a bright young player for the Cavs, he was arrested this morning in Mahoning County on improper use of a firearm in a motor vehicle and possible misdemeanor for marijuana possession as well.
I didn't know about that one. I
knew about. See that?
Well, I saw the gun related charges and stuff like that. I saw his mugshot was. Dude, come on, man. Like, I'll continue, but like I just come on, man. Like, why are you doing this? You had 8 months to screw up. You had 8 months to screw up, and you screw up literally 5 days or 4 days before the NBA draft. Come on, man.
It's tough to see because I just saw a video of him working in the gym. I forget who it is.
Cole Anthony,
playing against Cole Anthony. I believe the trainer is like Chris Brinkley or something like that.
Yeah.
But I need to look up his name again. But he was just in the gym working on his game, and you see these highlights of him in the gym, and then you get this report today as you're getting close to the draft. And there are rumors that Kevin Love could be traded, and that they're really high on Obi Toppin out of Dayton. Or Danny Avita, I think from overseas. I forget which. It's one of those foreign-born players,
right?
But you have the 5th pick, Paulus. What are you looking for from this team? Do you want to see them make a trade to try to trade up? I mean, there was even a report or like a rumor, Kevin Love, there could be a trade involving the Golden State Warriors.
I did see that.
Cavs. Would that be for the 2nd pick? And then they have their choice after either Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball goes. Who What do you want the focus for the Cavs to be at 5 if that player's available?
There's no way you can get that second pick. I am firm believer that the Golden State Warriors will not trade. They might end up trading that pick. Okay, is what I'm saying, but not for Kevin Love. I mean, you're going to have to give them something. You're going to have to give them Kevin Love, the 5, and then something else in order to get even a sniff at number 2. And even if you get number 2, I don't, what's the difference between 2 and 5 in this draft? What's the difference? I don't know. I'm asking you, America. I would like to know, because I think Obi Toppin, I think you can get him at 5. And I liked his game at Dayton. I thought he did well at Dayton. I know he doesn't play a lick of defense, but who does in the NBA? Now you need a scorer. You need somebody that can go out there and dominate a game offensively. And I think that that's something that he's able to do. Now, if you did bring him in and you lose Kevin Love, I mean, Kevin Love doesn't play defense either. I mean, the only time he's ever played defense was on Steph, in the finals. So that being said, it's not like you're losing or you're getting worse defensively. You're probably going to stay the same. You might get a little bit better offensively, but you're still such a young team. I'd like to see them try and keep, oh my God, I would love to see them try and keep Tristan. I love Tristan. I know he gets a bad rap, nowadays, but for just being a one-sided player basically, but I like his game personally. And I honestly like him as a leader of the team. But I mean, there's him, Andre Drummond. I mean, you're only going to have him for one more year, because he's definitely not going to re-sign you're not going to sign him to, a $20 million deal after he picks up his player option, which I think he's going to do if he hasn't already done it.
He was at the Browns game today, though, by the way.
Was he?
Yeah.
I
didn't tweeted out a picture from a suite, I think.
Nice. I didn't know that, but yeah, no, I mean, that's great. I love Andre Drummond too, but once again, I don't see him in the cards 2 years down the road. No. I need someone here that's going to be a playmaker. You got to go out there and you got to prove it. If Obi Toppin's the dude, go get Obi Toppin. If you want the overseas kid, if you're going to tell me that dude ends up like Luka, sign me up. Obviously, I mean, and it's the easiest thing in the world to say. Oh, if he's Luka Doncic, sign me up. But I need a playmaker here, someone alongside KPJ, Sexton, even Garland. Garland, had his moments, a lot of bad moments, but he had his moments. I need to see more out of this young team. I love JB Bickerstaff. I love the direction that we have. At the coach there for us, but I need to get a playmaker. So if you can get one at 5, great. If you got to trade up, then do it.
Obi Toppin has been my guy this whole time.
Okay.
And our buddy Jordan Zerm is not about him because undersized, question marks about his outside shot and his defense. Obi Toppin has been saying he's going to prove people wrong with that. He's going to have to, because it is a legit question mark about Obi Toppin. But just watching those Dayton games, and I think the disadvantage for a guy like Obi Toppin, even being a top 5 player, and he will go top 5, if not top 4 in this draft, a disadvantage is the lack of the NCAA tournament. And that's another ramification of COVID-19, because a team like Dayton that has developed a great basketball program was going to make a run in the NCAA tournament. I am convinced of that. I'm not saying to a Final Four or national championship or anything like that. Potential, but they were going to make a run in that tournament. And it was going to have to do with Obi Toppin, and he was going to show out more on a national stage, because while he may be undersized and he can't defend, that dude is a guy that's going to go to work for you, and a guy that you want to bring in, and a guy that just, when I watch his game, not just from the stats that he puts up or the dunks he puts down, it's just an attitude that he brings to the floor. And when you are an NBA player and a guy that you have question marks coming in and you want to prove yourself, you need to be a guy that's willing to go out there and do it all, scratch and claw, and find a way to continue to get better every single day out there on the basketball floor. And these young guys are going to be itching to get out there because they haven't played in so long. usually they've been drafted already. They've been in camps. They've been working out with trainers. They haven't really been able to do anything. But Obi Toppin is my guy. I can't necessarily pinpoint one thing over the other to tell you guys why, but I just feel like he is that dude. And if I'm wrong, I will come on here and say that I'm wrong. That's for sure. If they end up drafting him and I'm wrong, or if they don't get him and he ends up being a flop, I will say, well, look, we got the better end of the deal of who we drafted, who fell to us versus Obi Toppin.
Right.
It's just, he is that dude to me, like Mr. Everything. When we talked about on those CDC games, like Mr. Do It All, Mr. Everything.
Right.
He has that dog mentality in him to do that on a basketball floor, and only having 5 guys out there, that impacts the game that much more. Yes, he has to improve his outside shot. Yes, he has to improve on defense, but he is my guy. Now, the other guy we were talking about that could fall to them, Danny Avita, he is Israeli born. He played for Maccabi Tel Aviv. I was taking a look at that.
Is that David Blatt's team?
I'm not sure if
I know
coaches.
I know he was, he coached a Israel team. I can't remember if that's it though. I thought so, but
I don't know if he. I know he coaches back overseas because that's where he's had most of his success.
Right.
But he was, he just couldn't get along with LeBron. But and LeBron you trust in that regard anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, I mean, come on. We ended up winning a title without David Blatt. So I mean, I think it was the right call.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd have to look that up about Maccabi Tel Aviv. It's Obi Toppin. I mean, we also have people there. Actually, more comments coming in more so as we start to talk about the Cavs. Nicole Arnold saying that there have been rumors about Love being traded for several years now. Sure. Yes, I just feel like at some point that the marriage is going to split. The Cavs and Kevin Love are going to split. It's not necessarily going to be the rest of his career. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, if they could have traded Love already, they would have. That's what it basically comes down to.
And it was Maccabi Tel Aviv.
I was right.
2010 to 14.
Nice. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Wikipedia for the win.
There we go. David Blatt. I knew it. I knew he coached one of those teams.
It's not my encyclopedic
I'll give it to you. You didn't have to say Wikipedia. Come on.
Anyone that listens to the show knows that I would not know that.
And then someone else saying that Michael Hill saying about Dylan Windler for the Cavs, who got hurt. He was a sharpshooter for the Cavs. Who
apparently
he wants to know. He wants to know more. I want to know more. So, I want to see that guy on the floor.
So apparently, and this is coming from Emmett Golden, host of the Next Level on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Shout out, E. I hope you're well, man.
Yeah, I saw E today. He's doing really well. I actually saw Aaron today too for the first time in 9 months. He came in the studio.
Power out.
Yeah, power was out. Exactly.
All the best to him. Because I know that in that area where he lives, I know the power can go out easily. If he's coming in, it has to be power out because he's trying to protect his little one too. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, he's been doing a great job. But E was talking about that. And E was basically saying how Dylan Windler basically one-handed. I mean, was shooting from 3. And I mean, he was going deep with it. I mean, he looks great in practice. It's just we need to see more, and we obviously need to see him play in game. But apparently, he is a expert sharp shooter out there. He looks fantastic. Apparently,
he's the guy I wanted to see this whole time.
Right.
Like that was the guy I wanted to see on the floor this past season.
Yeah.
Of course, I was talking about power going out, and of course, my video goes out. But
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see a guy like Obi Toppin, or even if it's Danny, because those are like small forwards. Those are wing players in a position that the Cavs have struggled to find. Now, if Obi Toppin does not develop on defense, you're still looking for a wing player because in the NBA, while it's positionless basketball, you need wing defenders. It's going to be another developmental year for the Cavs, but I love that they're gonna give this a go starting the 22nd. You're getting started right around Christmas time. I'm sure there'll be Christmas Day games. I'm probably part of like maybe a 5% or less minority on this, but I enjoy Christmas Day basketball games more so than football on Thanksgiving. While I love Thanksgiving, the holiday and getting to eat, and I love watching football that day, I love basketball on Christmas more so than football on Thanksgiving. And I will take all the heat, all the mentions at Kelvin7. I will take all the hats on Twitter for that. But that's just, you guys, I talk about basketball way too much.
Right.
Sometimes.
Well, no,
and that's just how I am.
It's not too much, but I view basketball, and just my last thing here before we wrap it up. I view basketball starting. I know typically it'd be starting like now, at the end of October, November timeframe. But I really view the NBA season starting, that time frame anyways, that Christmas time frame, because the NFL is still going on and everything like that. I prefer football on Thanksgiving because it's always Detroit and the Cowboys, and they're typically awful. So like I can just sit there, eat and pass out and like really not miss anything. But the NFL for about a decade now has been doing their a third game, and it's usually like on NFL Network or on Fox or or Amazon sometimes. And those games are typically really good. So like I'm always a fan of watching those games. The basketball games on Christmas though, great for background noise. Unfortunately for me, every time that I go over to like my grandma's, which is where we watch, a lot of things, they always have that. I hate A Christmas Story. I hate A Christmas Story.
Sacrilege.
Wow. It's because I've seen it a billion times, and I hate Ralphie. I hate his stupid little face. I just can't stand the kid. He should have got his ass kicked a lot more, but I know it's hot takes.
They're gonna run you out of Cleveland.
Go right ahead. I don't care. You know what? Never been to the house either. Suck it. It's I do like the lamp though. I'll give him props where props are due. That lamp is awesome.
Fragile.
He
must be Italian.
Must be Italian. I think it's fragile. I do like that, but yeah, no. For the most part, no. That movie can kick rocks. So.
We're getting out of time here. So, we went way over last week, so we do need to cut things off this week. But I think, and I'm not like decorate for Christmas guy right now or holiday, like we're watching the movies yet. I think once we hit December, we need to have a segment at the end of one of these episodes and get back to that point you just made and see if there's a movie or something about the holidays or holiday movies, songs that
Christmas movies
you to no end.
Yeah. We'll go into that once December hits, for sure. Not a moment sooner though.
Not a
moment sooner.
No. So it's the show after Thanksgiving, not before.
That's right.
Next week we'll have a little Thanksgiving preview.
Well, actually the show after Thanksgiving is the 29th. So we'll see.
Maybe we'll start it a little early. Maybe, but as long as it's after Thanksgiving, that's all that matters.
I will say our Christmas tree will be up by then. My wife puts it up.
Will it be up?
Friday after Thanksgiving is when
that's fine.
We put it up.
Totally all for it. Personally, for me, like my birthday, if you guys want to get me a present, is December 1st. So it's coming up. My
December 1st. Don't do anything for Paulus.
Avoid all contact.
Blu-ray of the Christmas Story.
That's right. There we go. But no, I've always said once December hits, go for it. Like if you want to start putting up stuff December 1st, that's okay. I got someone on my street, and once again we're running out of time, but I got someone on my street that has the Clark Griswold house going on. They have everything to the max. They are on like a nuclear plan right now. That ticker's just running right now. So but yeah, it's pretty funny.
It'll be running all day long December 1st in this apartment as long as I'm off work.
What's that?
Christmas vacation. Speaking of Clark
Christmas vacation, sure. Yeah, we'll get into all of this for sure.
Yeah. So little tease for down the road. Before we go, my girlfriend Jana helped us out a little bit. So all you t-shirt companies. I don't know if you can see this. I know it's not going to come through. It's not going to come through very well. I don't know how well it's going to come through, but here's the edit for you. I know that we got the background going on. I'm going to tweet it out. So follow me at Kevin7. I'm going to tweet this picture out. So any t-shirt company out there that wants to make the Stefanski shirt,
I love it.
We got the edit for you. So we're putting in the work, and
I just saw the picture. It's the best
Did
thing.
You see it?
It's the best thing in the world. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I'm actually retweeting it right now. So.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to go retweet that once we get out of here. I want to thank everybody that did tune in on Big Play Live, Facebook or YouTube tonight, or Sportscaster Live, or at our Twitter. Of course, you can always reach out to us, have sports conversations at BTL_pod. Throughout the week, we will post clips from the show, keep retweeting the show, so you'll be able to catch everything on replay. Anything you may have missed, you came in late, it'll be right there. As soon as we end, it'll always be right there for you to catch the entire show or special clips for you. But that is going to wrap it up this week for this edition of The Voice of Land, a Big Play production. For my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tellep, I'm reminding all of you sports fans out there, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And as much as Iron Man may have came out as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, we still truly love Marvel, and we love you all 3,000. We will see you all next week.